West Ham ready to go. Leicester in their blue. Now get into their formation. And we are underway at the King Power. The home side in blue. The West Ham team in a light top and dark shorts. Louise Quinn alongside me for this one. And Louise, I think the first thing we'll have to do is try and work out exactly where everybody's playing on the pitch for this one.
Yeah, it's been as we know, a few changes, a few injuries either side, you know, with each team. And as you can see, so I played with Emma Janssen on the ball here, and she actually seems to be starting more in a, you know, potentially defensive role. You know, wears the number 10 shirt, but when I played with her back in the day, she was very much an attacking player, but, you know, she has that versatility. But again, as you said, just a lot of, you know, new names to both squads. So again, it's just how can they, you know, bring that together for what is a very, very important game for both teams.
It's with Asai. Turns it back to Hansaw. Now comes to Cascarino, who's fortunately sorted out that earring issue that meant that she wasn't able to come on to make her debut against Chelsea earlier this month. We all suddenly learnt that the rules had changed when it came to jewellery in the English game, didn't we, during that match?
Yeah, I never had that issue, never wore it. Didn't want that extra strain of thinking about it.
Here it's with Martinez. Now Vondelay. Positive start from West Ham.
Yeah, they've got themselves, you know, up the pitch quickly. I can see in terms of, you know, formation and how they're pressing, very much going in numbers, just trying to, you know, I think everyone's just trying to ease themselves into the game. It's been, you know, a little bit up in the air, who can win first, second contacts, you know, and get faced up. And, you know, you can see then when Leicester are defending, they're very strict into a back five. But again, it'll give Neville and Mailing, you know, hopefully a lot of licence to get forward and join the attack, as we can see already.
Two of the new additions for Leicester, two very experienced Barclays Women's Super League players in Sarah Mailing and Ashley Neville.
Yeah, for me, I think Leicester have been, you know, done very well in this window in terms of, you know, players they've brought in, experience, you know, to really push themselves on, get themselves out, you know, of that danger zone. Yeah, there's four teams around the bottom there. That's, you know, it's very, very close.
And here we see Mailing really high up the pitch. She's a player that I just think of as being so energetic and keen down that wing. But now it's with another player full of energy in Asai. Played into Siren. Now across to Uendo. Vondelay actually chases her own ball, gets around Neville, lovely cross in. Shakira Martinez tries to get her head to it. I think she's saying that's a corner. It did look as if it went out off a Leicester touch.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vondelay does very well down this right wing. She's such a willing runner, dribbler. Yeah, to me it looks like it does. It gets a double touch.
Like maybe Janssen,
yeah.
maybe.
Again, but yes, it's, you know, we're potentially off Janssen to her. So Janssen's done very well there as Martinez. We know when she is in form, she is brilliant in front of goal. So again, a vital touch.
Well, she had that extraordinary end to last season, the German. Martinez didn't actually play her first West Ham game until last January, and then went on to score 10 league goals in 12 appearances. So far, 3 in the league for West Ham this season. Now, though, it's with Leicester. They are bursting forward. Cuts in, pulled back to Williams. And Endo with a really important block there.
You can see Rach Williams is flying, ready to go. This is her, first league start since, I think, 2024, is that?
Well, I worked out that I think it was against West Ham in 2024, and she scored in a 1-1 draw against West Ham on that day. She is a player, I mean, she is 38 years old now, which sounds young when you're the other side of it, but it still isn't young for a footballer, obviously. But she is a player who has famously come off the bench regularly to make an impact for Manchester United most recently.
Yeah, absolutely. She's, and as I've seen, I think she's had a blistering start at the moment. You can see the intensity of the press. She, picked up. She was in the build-up to that first play that got, O'Brien down that wing, got her shot off. And again, but just in terms of her impact, and listen, I've played with her briefly and against her. You come up against her, you see her coming off the bench. It induces fear. She is incredibly strong, incredibly energetic. Obviously, in the air, that is, her massive strength, and I think she's going to be, hopefully a brilliant signing for Leicester.
Yes, Louise Quinn, I think you probably enjoyed playing with her more than you enjoyed playing against her, right? Because she was at the other end of the pitch rather than you having to keep an eye on her. Yeah,
sometimes we fought over who would go and attack, the corners, but listen, she's absolutely fearless and ruthless in the air.
Throw in from Neville. Nestrom there to take it out. Leicester with a throw-in that Neville will take. Short throw to be brought down by the chest of Williams. Now with Tierney. Taken away as far as Martinez. And now it's Hansaw who's racing forwards. Now played out to the run of Gorey. Gorey onto her right boot. Leicester, though, managed to get plenty of players back. Siren now with Hansaw again, attempts to cut it back. It is cut out by Leicester. And then eventually rolls out of play. There was a break there from West Ham, but I thought Leicester recovered really well. Yeah,
brilliantly, and you can see, this is the aspect of these two teams. I think, for me, Leicester absolutely want to kind of play that counter-attacking football. They now have a brilliant, outlet in Rachel Williams, but again, West Ham are, similar, potentially want to keep the ball a little bit more, but again, brilliant counter-attack. But you could see there, Leicester were in a strict back five. Ball does get played in behind, but again, Sam Tierney, the ever-reliable captain of Leicester City, covering in, helping her teammates out. And again, so I think structurally, Leicester, they look in a very good shape and creating themselves a lot of space.
Mailing with a ball into the box. Šemić is there, quickly played back up the pitch by the West Ham goalkeeper. Now across to Janssen, who, as you say, number 10 on her back. We weren't quite sure where she was going to end up, but doing my research, I discovered she was a versatile player. And even though she's got the number 10 on her back, she seems to be playing in a more defensive role. She's on the ball at the moment, tries to pass it up the line to Mailing. We'll end up back with Šemić. She's one of the many Scandinavian players who have made the move to English football in this transfer window because their season is over. Because I think it gets a little bit cold in that part of the world, doesn't it?
It's, yeah, listen, very tough. I've lived there myself for 4 years, and the Swedes were, all gone on holidays during those times of years, but...
Makes sense. Kane managed to get the ball back off Cascarino. Now with Asai. Siren out from Nestrom. Tierney to Mailing. West Ham can't get the ball off her at the moment. Back out to Mailing again on this wing. And Gorey just trying to keep an eye on her, really. But Mailing's able to turn. Plays the ball into McLaughlin. Oh, now it might bounce away kindly for Martinez. Now with Asai, finds Martinez, and yeah, there were, I think Ashley Neville raised her arm as if to just let the referee's assistant know that that flag should be raised as well, just offside.
Yeah, Leicester just, you know, getting away with one there, Swalby, with just a little bit of a loose pass, but again, we've spoken about their structure. The back three really just kept their line brilliantly there, and Martinez just drifting offside. If she just holds that, she is through. She has the power, she has the speed to, you know, to get herself in front of goal there. So again, but very good defensive line from Leicester.
Played up the pitch to the run of Neville, who's high on that wing. Lovely ball in from Neville. Well, that looked like a decent delivery, but nobody could get contact on it.
Yeah, again, you know, what a brilliant signing for Leicester. You know, Neville, not the start she wanted, you know, against Spurs in her first game, but in terms of, you know, such a strong player and just consistent. She is consistently a performer. And for me, she knows, listen, you have the outlet of Rach Williams, you know, plenty of bodies in the box there. Kane, O'Brien, plenty to aim at, just a little bit much on that.
Was at Tottenham since 2017, part of the side that got promoted to the top flight. I think a school teacher as well, somewhere in there, yeah. Ball comes back to Nestrom. Gorey. Comes back to her from Siren. And spread out to Hansaw. One back by Mailing. Now it's with Janssen. Janssen plays the ball in field. Vanderleer. And now Ueki. Run is by Martinez, who's come across to this left-hand side. Lifts it up, I'm sure, hoping to find the head of Asai. But she was surrounded by blue shirts there.
Yeah, for me, Martinez, just hold on to the ball. You know, she could see there, yes, Asai getting in the box, but there was no one following her. She was, you know, 4 or 5v1. Martinez, just put your foot on it, you know, recycle the ball, let your team get up. You want Ueki to be joining the play there. Yeah, just a little bit wasteful so far from West Ham.
West Ham winners in the FA Cup against Newcastle since losing against Chelsea. Just maybe that Martinez cross not quite going where she would have hoped. Asai scoring a goal and setting up to in that FA Cup win and dedicating the first goal of that game to Shalina Zadorsky, who is missing for West Ham at the moment with an injury. I think there was a handball there, wasn't there, as that ball was played up the pitch by Leicester. And so a little use of the arm by Shannon O'Brien, maybe. Oh, in fact, the flag is raised as well.
Yeah, you can see they're trying to get some, you know, early deliveries in. They're not exactly taking it to the end line, but some, you know, difficult to defend some of those diagonals, and just, yeah, just a step too far from O'Brien there. But again, just looking dangerous in attack. And again, Leicester, even from the front, I feel like, you know, a very good shape, defending very well.
Olivia Clark came out, managed to clear the ball, but might well have picked up a little bit of a knock. Referee will come across to check on her, but she is back on her feet. Second start for Olivia Clark this season.
Yeah, just a little nick there, but Asai, she had, you know, she has the absolute right to go in and just put the keeper off.
Leicester's 2 wins this season have both come at home, where they have scored 5 goals and conceded 10. West Ham have lost all 6 of their away games in the league so far, have only scored 2 goals on their travels. Here, though, it's with Martinez. Chose to square the ball to Ueki. And that allows Neville to collect for Leicester. Gets it back from Ale, who she would have played with at Tottenham in their time together at North London. Now it's lifted up the pitch by Swaby, but Siren gets it briefly. Picked up now by O'Brien. Another cross in from the wing. Coolly collected by Shemek.
Yeah, again, you can see these kind of longer diagonal crosses, and it's, you know, it's about getting that timing as well. Our West Ham stepping up their back line, runner making late runs into the box, you know, looking for target players. But, you know, Leicester absolutely looking the more threatening at the moment, and, you know, keeping the ball well when they have to.
Ball is with Ale. To Janssen. Kane trying to find Mailing, but it'll be watched out of play to be collected by Shemek. Had been the interim manager here at Leicester, having made the move from West Ham, where he'd been assisting Rhian Skinner since September of 2023, Rick Passmore. But I think doing a good enough job to quite quickly get the job on a permanent basis. Rhian Skinner has subsequently been replaced at West Ham, of course, after a really difficult start to the season. Held up by Asai. Gets the pass back from Hansaw. Asai with a really lovely looking cross, and it was Vondeleur who was trying to leap to get something on that. Not a bad ball in.
No, better, and just, again, just waiting for those bodies to get in the box. And Vondeleur, you know, she makes a good late run in.
Here it'll be lifted in again. But Clark will get there before Asai. Now with Janssen. Ale. Comes to von der Leyen. She's got a couple of Leicester players around her, but is able to squeeze it through to Martinez. But then turned back to Clark. No Janina Leitzig for Leicester. Olivia Clark, who started against Tottenham and is starting again today in goal for the home side. Goalkeeper is not a position you change if you can elect to keep with stability, I'm guessing. But as I say, no Leitzig in the squads for Leicester.
Yeah, it is something that you know, generally want to avoid, but you know, Olivia Clark, she's still young, but she has gained quite a lot of experience, and you know, I think coming in, you've just, you know, especially as a back line, sometimes it can be slightly unnerving, but I think the experience that Clark has now, you know, she's proven, and you know, she wants to play.
A Welsh international, the Leicester City goalkeeper. As the ball goes out off Ueki. Quickly back onto the pitch from the throw of Neville to Williams. Now with Janssen out to Mailing. Picked up by Tierney. Forward from Ale to Neville. Run from O'Brien. Endo stands in her way. Little back heel. You can see what she was trying to do there. You can also see what von der Leyen was trying to do. Trying to make sure that rolled out for a goal kick. It will find its way, though, into the West Ham box. Who did it go out of? McLaughlin or Siren? I think it'll be a corner for Leicester City.
Yeah, again, that determination to keep the ball in, experience of Neville not giving up on anything, able to recycle it and get themselves a corner, which will be, you know, a big threat for Leicester today. The likes of Swaby, Williams, it's just about the delivery now.
Tierney to take. Halfway through the first half, corner for the home side. Well, it's not clear exactly who got the last touch.
No. Leicester's claim seemed to be a bit stronger, maybe.
Perhaps Nestrom, I think, was just dipping ahead. But, I mean, it didn't look like a great deal of contact was made by either set of players. It does, though, mean a second corner for Leicester. This time an outswinger.
Can see it's just, can Leicester isolate Rach Williams? I've no doubt they'll have, you know, one marker on her tightly and then another kind of zonal waiting for that run in. It's just finding that little step of space for Williams.
Infill from Endo. Corey to Hansaw. Lifted away by Mailing, picked up by Cascarino, one of two Cascarinos who are now playing in the Barclays Women's Super League. Delphine has now moved to London City Lionesses. Just about kept in play by West Ham. Nestrom, her pass forward, collected by Ale, now back with Neville. Turn from Tierney. Forward from Janssen. Squared to Ale. Vonderlehr stands in the way of that pass forward from Neville. Now little push on Williams. Fair says the referee as Siren turns it back to her defence. We're in this sort of transfer window at the moment, Louise, and obviously there are lots of new players who are coming into squads, who are starting games at the moment. How easy is it to settle into a side? How tough is it as a new player, and maybe how difficult is it as an established player to kind of get used to new signings around you?
Yeah, listen, it can be very difficult, and maybe we, saw that with Neville in her first game, but, talk about going into the deep end, playing against, her old club that she's been there for 10 years, but again, just that experience she brings to the squad, and already you can see that she's very confident to want to get on the ball. But yeah, a mid-season transfer, as we see, it can take sometimes months to really adapt to that, and it's obviously on-pitch stuff and how a team plays, but it's it's your everything outside of that as well. How can you settle into the city? And yeah, listen, but this is, if that's what you're going for mid-season, you have to take it by the scruff of the neck.
And if you're a player who's bought in January, you don't really have a great deal of time, do you? You're expected to just be ready to go.
Yeah, that's it. But listen, they have to have the confidence I've been signed to this club for a reason. They want me in here. I want to fight for my place, and, kind of just block that, outside noise, and if you can, and just, settle as best you can. And, that's also down to the clubs as well. How can they help their players as soon as they come in?
Hansaw plays it to Ueki. Now it comes back to Ueki. That is a shot on target, but nothing to trouble Clark in the Leicester goal.
Yeah, I just think at the moment they have, West Ham, they found a little bit more space, I think, down this left-hand side. But I think as a back three, and then you have, such resilient work from Tierney and McLaughlin, who are coming backtracking, from your midfielders. If you can get them back in defensively, one defender coming from the front, one from behind, it doesn't give you much time. There's no passing lanes. So for me, West Ham, they need to use the wings a little bit more, drive a little bit more, because centrally the pitch is quite full.
With Janssen. Back to Szemik again, Polish international. Part of the Polish team at the Euros, their first ever major tournament for that country. Played every minute of every league game last season for West Ham. Back heel from Martinez, she did well. She ended up off the pitch, managed to keep the ball on it. Forward from Tierney for Leicester. Now with the evergreen Rachel Williams.
Yeah, she doesn't mind it. She doesn't mind dropping deep to get on the ball, getting a few touches. I don't know if she's got a little knock just on the calf.
She's slowly sort of walking up the pitch, isn't she? As Leicester turn it back to their defence. Half an hour played. I think in terms of real goal threats, we haven't seen that yet, Louise, have we?
No, there hasn't been, any major chances created. Leicester very much putting, the ball in the box. Definitely far more entries, into West Ham's box. but just nothing clear-cut yet. But at the moment, Leicester just very much in control, really composed on the ball. You know, plenty of options, and you know, generally how Leicester play, it's not with much possession.
I think Katrina Gorey's a bit annoyed that she thinks she's doing, you know, she's putting in some fair challenges here, and she's hearing the referee's whistle. She's, I think, just gestured to say that's a couple of times now that you've given Leicester free kicks when I've thought that what I did was fair to try and win the ball back for my team. Still not happy, is she?
That's Gorey's game. She's so good.
Free kick in the end with Tierney. I think Williams just left it for Neville, who might have just heard a shout from behind her there. Now West Ham will have to keep an eye on this throw-in from the former Tottenham defender. Given back to Neville from Williams. Low-driven ball in. Oh, and Šemić had to stop that going in. Did she mean that? Even if she didn't, Ashley Neville very close to opening the scoring for Leicester at the King Power. Started with her throw-in, turned back to her by Rachel Williams, and she looked up, and did she just see a little opportunity to give Leicester the lead?
Yeah, I think for me, I think she saw it. I think she knows from that position, you know, keeper is slightly shifted to her left, but it's either a really dangerous ball or it's on target. I think she knows what she's doing. Probably didn't see it going all the way through to the goal, but a brilliant effort.
It's definitely not a kind of goal attempt you see very often. It leads to a corner. Tierney to take. Williams drops down onto the pitch. Malin keeps the ball in play. It feels like maybe the energy level's just gone up a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. You can see, as you know, Gorey, she wants to get herself in the mixer. That's her game. She breaks up play. She's brilliant defensively. She loves to join the attack. But again, now it adds that little bit of physicality, and you know, as we can see there, Nestrom, she's showing her physicality there. You know, against Williams, for me, I'm not sure. It looks a little bit soft, potentially from another angle. She has a pull on the neck there, but for me, it's fair, it's physical. You know, Williams is going to do the same back.
If you're a forward rather than a defender, would you have a different opinion on that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Here it's forward. It's Vonderlehr who's racing up the pitch. Tries to play the ball to Asai. Janssen stayed with her, and there's going to be a yellow card here, and I think that was for Swaby. Was that for just pulling back on Vonderlehr, I think, wasn't it? So a yellow card for the Leicester City defender, who was struggling to keep up with Vonderlehr, and I did wonder if it might lead to something, because there's no doubt that there's a pull on the left arm.
Yeah, absolutely. She could see the threat there of Asai running in behind Vonderlehr. She's been you know, she hasn't had many opportunities, but a very willing runner, especially in 1v1 situations. And now West Ham have put themselves in a very dangerous position on the edge of the box, with Hansaw and Asai standing over it.
A set piece for West Ham. Can they take the lead at the King Power from this? Will it be Hansaw or Asai to take? It'll be Hansaw, and it's straight in! West Ham take the lead with a Hansaw free kick. Curled past the keeper to make it Leicester City 0, West Ham 1.
Wow, they're just against the run of play. You know, totally Leicester have been so strong defensively. But Vonderlehr, what a willing runner she is, getting in, getting behind, you know, making Swaby make that foul, put themselves in a dangerous position. But look at this. Left foot, perfectly weighted. You know, keeper has a long way to travel there. Absolutely precision from Hansaw there. You know, I'm not sure if Clark could have done any more.
I was going to say, is that savable?
It's very difficult. You know, you can generally only kind of cover that that one side. Could she have predicted with the left foot that, you know, that's what she wants to do, up and over? But listen, we cannot take that away from Hansaw. What a precise free kick.
The Austrian international giving West Ham the lead in this game. And I may remind you over the course of the commentary that West Ham have lost every single league match so far that they have played on their travels this season. So to be ahead here at the King Power, with I know still plenty of football to be played, will feel like a bit of a relief. Now McLaughlin's being spoken to by the referee. It's Vivian Asai who's down, and the medical staff having to come on to check on the West Ham forward. And is it her face that seems to be troubling her?
Yeah, it just seems potentially it was a hand, an arm. Again, I don't think there was, you know, much in it, or that there was intent from McLaughlin. But again, this will work in West Ham's favour now. Just slow up the play, you know, compose themselves. You know, I'm sure they've known that they, you know, haven't been in this game too much or created clear-cut chances, but, you know, this is a real smash and grab just from this moment from...
So it was sort of a mix of McLaughlin and Tierney, wasn't it? But it didn't look too bad in that replay. But what a free kick from Hansaw to give West Ham the lead a few moments ago. And yeah, shots on target 1, goals 1.
There we go. That's all they need. And this is, you know, in moments, this is how both teams play. They may have to absorb a lot of pressure. When you get that one chance, what can you do with it? They have to be so clinical in front of goal. And just looking back at it, I could, you know, Leicester's wall, there was some players jumping, some not. You know, back slightly turned. You know, can you stay strong if you feel like you are going to jump? You know, does there have to be, you know, a poor soul that's lying on the ground ready to take that hit? But again, it just gives you that safety to, you know, be even stronger in the wall.
This is Verena Hanshaw's first ever BWSL goal for West Ham. And it's one that's worth showing again and again. And it's one that you think she might have practiced a few times as well. I mean, that's not the sort of thing you just pull out in a game, is it, Louise?
No, absolutely. She, you know, she has that experience, end of training. You know, I don't know what it is about left footers who just can really caress that ball, and what a perfect position on a, you know, for a left footer on that, you know, on that side. And again, it was just perfectly into the corner. You know, maybe the wall couldn't have done much about it. It didn't go through them. So listen, that's just perfection from Hansaw.
Now it's Williams slightly losing her footing, but Leicester continue with Tierney. The cross will come in to be headed away by the West Ham defence. Leicester not a team that scores many goals. They haven't scored more than 1 in a game all of this season. They are obviously looking for a goal back in this game at the moment. Trailing 1-0 towards the latter stages of this first half, but they've got a free kick of their own. Right. Do you remember what you've just seen at the other end of the pitch? See if you can do that.
Yeah, little bit further out, Hannah Kane, who is well capable of striking them as well.
Referee sorts out the 3 players in the West Ham wall, and the hands on the hips of Hannah Kane. West Ham taking the lead from a free kick. Can Leicester equalise with a set piece? Doesn't go for goal herself, tries to just lift it over that wall and to a teammate instead. Yeah,
I don't know if she was too precise with it, you know. Williams was, you know, she lost her marker at the back post. Sometimes it just has to be a dangerous whip. I think when you really try to pick someone out, you know, it makes it easy for West Ham defensively.
Mentioned Leicester struggling for goals this season. Last time they scored multiple goals in a league game was actually a 4-2 win against West Ham last season. But it's been one goal here, one goal there so far for Leicester this campaign. I think there are appeals there as it maybe came off Cascarino. She's asking exactly how she was involved. But there were Leicester players straight away, maybe suggesting that came off an arm or something, as it was... Yes, I think it might have just come off her arm.
Yeah, listen, they weren't too far out, but that's... You know, they were away from the body, and Hannah Kane was going to be through with the pass there.
Kane with another free kick. Might come in, Swaby's up there. Oh, it's so close to going over the line. A real collection of bodies inside that 6-yard box. I did wonder if Shannon O'Brien might get a really important touch there.
Yeah, and I think just for her, I think she's come from an offside position. So I think that's just what they're, you know, what they're calling there. But again, a bit more dangerous. You know, can Kane potentially put a little bit more pace on the ball? So Williams' header is, you know, with power back across it. But again, first, second phase, who can pick up? Who wants the fight? Who wants the ball a little bit more?
Well, I mentioned that 4-2 win against West Ham for Leicester at the end of last season included a couple of goals from Hannah Kane in that match. Really tough start to life under West Ham's new manager, with a game against Chelsea, which would have been an opportunity to learn about this team, I imagine, for Arita Guarino. They have won a game since then, that though against WSL 2 opposition in the Cup.
Yeah, listen, I think you go in, first game is Chelsea, and as you say, listen, the result was, you know, the scoreline.
Unsurprising.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it was, you know, really damning, and I suppose you're just trying to, you know, what's the mindset now of the West Ham players in that situation?
Lovely pass forward to Martinez. Swaby is staying with her. Has to be careful actually here, doesn't she? The Leicester defender has been shown a yellow card. I don't think that warrants one necessarily, but still got to be careful. And now Janssen is down. Well, we're not too far away from the half-time whistle being blown. But that was a good pass that I think found Martinez.
Yeah, I think there is that space down that left-hand side. I think for me, Vondeler, she creates her own space in 1v1s, whereas in Martinez, you know, she will be a winning runner if you know, give her the right ball. But again, Swaby just needs to be cautious. There wasn't too much in that, but you know, Martinez was really playing to that.
So Janssen gets some treatment. Did come on as a sub against Spurs for her first starts in a Leicester shirt, the Swedish player who with Rosengard won trophies. But now there is now a much wider appeal, isn't there, for players from all around the world to come and play in England.
Yeah, I just think, you know, and as I said, I played in Sweden for 4 years, and you know, you're just talking about, you know, quality players, strength tactically, you know, and now, as you can see, the WSL has really, snapped up so many of them. But again, you know, in Sweden, the Damallsvenskan, the Elitetten, you know, they constantly can just produce quality. We see it in the national team, you know, all the time. And again, it's a little bit of a whitewash for the, you know, the Swedish league, the Damallsvenskan. But again, it's just, what can they do? They just keep producing. And yeah, but it's tough now, you know. Janssen, she hasn't played, you know, season ended in about November. As you said, she's maybe got only 19, 20 minutes.
So we're into 4 minutes, a minimum of 4 minutes of added on time. And during that stoppage time, Leicester are being forced to make a defensive change. So Keys is coming on and Janssen is coming off. Let's hope that's just a slight knock that she recovers from, because the last thing you want to do is come in as a new player and pick up an injury straight away.
Yeah, again, she's, you know, with her versatility, she's worked her way into this squad, and then, you know, in such an important game. But again, in comes Keys, who's, you know, had plenty of minutes this season as well, and hopefully she can just slot right in there. But again, she's, you know, up against Acai, which is, you know, no easy feat at all.
So Keys comes on as we head into stoppage time, and well, Martinez fancied something from about 25 yards out. Maybe Clark just needed to be alert to that, but she made that look easy, that save.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't, you know, the power, and Martinez, she didn't get as much behind it, but listen, there was a little dangerous bounce there, you know, on this surface, and Acai, you could see she's following in, you know, for any little knockdown she can get. But again, that's been West Ham. They've scored a brilliant free kick, but in terms of, you know, entries into the box, you know, keeping possession, West Ham, they just need to be a little bit more fluid in those forward areas, keep the ball, hold on to it a little bit longer.
Poked forward by Hansaw. Martinez is racing onto it. She's got around Swaby, who just lent into her.
Yeah, this is the theme of their game so far, and Swaby, she does very well, just gives, you know, little shoulder to shoulder, done well to catch up. But again, you know, you're giving away a corner at a very important stage, but very well recovered from.
Well, West Ham took the lead from a set piece. They now have a corner late on in this first half at the King Power. It's going to be a side to take. Actually, Neville's not happy about something. Corner is taken. It's Williams who got ahead to it, comes out as far as Gorey, who was sort of turning as she made contact with that ball, I think. Maybe couldn't have been hugely confident about exactly where it was going to end up.
No, again, I think, you know, for me, just get it back in the mixer. You know, I think she's striking it with their laces there. She's either going for goal or trying to just get it across goal, but just loft it into that 6-yard box. You know, make Leicester or, you know, Clark make a decision.
We might well see more than the 4 minutes shown by the fourth official, just because there was that injury that was being dealt with as we headed into the added on time at the end of this first half. So it might well be up to the referee to decide when she blows for the break. Across to Ale. But time might be running out for Leicester to get an equaliser before they head back down into the dressing rooms. It's another long ball that is asking Martinez to run as quickly as she can. Picked up by Asay. Just holds on to the ball for West Ham. Both players saying it's their team's ball. Sarah Mayling doesn't wait for a decision, decides to throw it back to Keys. And that will be the last act of the first half here at the King Power Stadium. And it is a brilliant free kick from Verena Hansaw that separates the two sides at the break. Are West Ham heading towards their first points, their first win away from home this season? At the break, it is Leicester City 0, West Ham 1. Two sets of players back on the pitch at the King Power. West Ham with a 1-0 lead at half-time thanks to a free kick from Hansaw. A rather special one at that. Leicester will be looking for a response in this second half. We'll wait to see if they have made any changes, but already Sari Keys has been brought on right at the end of the first half due to an injury to one of the new signings, Emma Janssen. So a forced change made by Leicester, but neither head coach deciding to make any more changes before the start of this second half. Sam Tierney with a few last words for her team. Trina Gorey, the skipper for West Ham, and Rachel Williams also with a few wise words as well for this Leicester City side. So the home team in blue, the away team in a light top and black shorts. I'm not confident in saying it's white. Cream, I'm going to suggest. And it will be Martinez to get this second half underway. Forward from Uendo, taken away from Ueki by McLaughlin. Infield from Neville. And McLaughlin, the player who's dropped down. Rika Ueki, I think, expressing her innocence, saying that she didn't do a great deal there.
Maybe that's, showing their intent on the press, to start this second half. Can they keep the momentum going that they gained towards the end of the first?
Ball with Williams. To Ale. McLaughlin, now Tierney. Williams says, give the ball to me. Tierney does as requested. Out to Mayling. Mayling with a ball from that right-hand side, and another not bad one from Leicester in this game. As McLaughlin drops down onto the pitch, but Sarah Mayling there with a ball that could have found its way to either Kane or McLaughlin right in front of the West Ham goal.
Yeah, I think it just took, Hansaw maybe just got a slight touch, which just, took the power off it, because again, I think if that actually doesn't get that touch, it's a very well whipped ball in between the back line and the goalkeeper, and it's going to ask questions of both there. But again, I think Leicester now, can they gain that control and momentum again and start kind of creating some clear-cut chances, as we haven't really seen either goalkeeper be tested apart from the you know, Hansaw's goal and, you know, maybe Neville's cross-come shot in the first half.
Back-to-back away games against Tottenham in the league and then in the cup for Leicester, but their last home game was actually a win against London City Lionesses. Shannon O'Brien with the only goal of that game. That only their second Barclays Women's Super League win of this season. And they are currently trailing to a West Ham side who started the day just 1 point above a Liverpool side, bottom of the table, but a Liverpool team who've started to pick up a point or two recently. Have started to look a little bit tougher to beat, if not a side that will necessarily win a game. West Ham, though, here are looking for a first victory under a new manager. As Rachel Williams is brought down, Mailing, though, collects. Comes back to O'Brien. Spreads the ball out to McLaughlin. Now with Tierney. Martinez helping out defensively to Ale. Cross back in. Comes down for a strike that went only a few inches, it feels like, wide from Sarah Mailing. There's more about Leicester, isn't there, at the start of this second half?
Yeah, again, just well-drifted ball, you know, and it doing exactly what, you know, Williams wants to do. It's more, can we find her as that target, perfectly chested down to Mailing. On first thought, I thought it was, you know, going well wide, but it was well struck just wide of that left post.
Just spins behind Mailing. Now keys back to her keeper, forward to Ale again. To O'Brien. Neville has carried on running, picks up the ball again, gets away from Vondeleur. Well, she fancied something again there, Ashley Neville. She's already forced a save from the West Ham goalkeeper in this game. And Ashley Neville on target again for Leicester City. Got it onto her right boot and tried to lift it over Shemek and in. Denied, though, by the West Ham goalkeeper. It will lead to a corner instead. It's an outswinger. Keys gets her head to it. I think Hansaw wasn't sure if that might end up going all the way out for a goal kick, but ends up going out for a throw-in. Well, Ashley Neville is very keen to open her scoring account for Leicester City this afternoon.
Yeah, again, for me, I think, you know, I think the intention was absolutely across there, but for me, she just puts it in such dangerous areas to put a threat, you know, ask questions of the goalkeeper. You could see Rach Williams was making a run towards the back post, but again, just, you know, so well lofted. But Shemek, again, she just adjusts her feet very well, is probably expecting a cross, and just well tipped over the bar. But again, Neville just dangerous balls into the box.
But that's the thing about Ashley Neville, is that maybe the West Ham goalkeeper hasn't expected a player in her position to necessarily do what she's done so far in this game.
Yeah, you've got to give it to Shemek there. There's two times where, listen, potentially, you know, as we said, is it a cross, is it a shot? Listen, as Ashley Neville doesn't mind as long as it's a threat and on target. But again, I think Shemek has dealt with them very, very well, adjusted her feet, gets her body behind the ball, a strong hand.
The rain falling at the King Power Stadium. Rick Passmore shouting out instructions on the sidelines, but you sense that he had a word with his players at half-time, and they're trying to put that into action in this second half. Kane with a cross. Just too many West Ham players in the way of that pass to Williams. Tierney keeps the ball in play with a head.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Rick Passmore, I don't think he would have wanted to change too much. I think in terms of, their control of the game, but I think it's bodies into the box. I think it's, accurate crosses, runners, movement.
Comes to Neville, who stayed inside the D. West Ham with a lot of defending to do at the moment. Leicester keeping it inside their opponent's half. You can see where the ball has been for large parts of this second half as the cross bounces away off the head of Shannon O'Brien. Thumbs up from her for the ball in. And it was Williams who just looked up and tried to find the head of her teammates. They are getting closer to an equaliser here, Leicester City.
Yeah, absolutely. And O'Brien as well, she's, very, very good in the air. A ball from Williams, the ball that she would like delivered into the box, how she would like it. But again, O'Brien just getting herself over it a little bit too much, couldn't just compose herself in terms of the run. But again, very threatening. A good start from Leicester. Bodies, balls in the box. And even in this weather as well, now anything can happen in terms of the slip of the ball, deflection.
Turning into a bit of a soggy Sunday in Leicester. O'Brien racing forwards. And the ooze from the crowds as Tierney was clipped. I wasn't sure for a moment if the referee might just play advantage there. But she gives the home side a free kick.
Yeah, I think McLaughlin wanted to play on there, but this is a really threatening position for Leicester at the moment.
Captain on captain there. Leads to this free kick. Is this too far out to go for goal?
For me personally, yes, I wouldn't be striking from there. However, I think
if you're Hannah Kane, are you going for it?
Hannah Kane, listen, as we said, if they're on the training ground and they're, repetition, and if not, I'd work it wide and see if we can get a delivery.
So let's see what Hannah Kane does with this free kick. She does square it to Tierney. Tierney then lifts it in. And not like that free kick, but not in the same position in any way from the free kick we saw for West Ham in the first half of this game. But West Ham are struggling to get it out of their own half at the moment. Real kind of positivity from Leicester as they try and get an equaliser, but now it is up the pitch. Ball finds a say, and she's being shut down as she shoots wide in the end. It will just take one moment, won't it? West Ham are ahead, Leicester are trying to equalise, but the home side have to be aware of this threat of a counter-attack.
Yeah, absolutely, and just what a brilliant ball there from Ueki, just in between the lines. Sarah Mailing does well to recover, and Asai, she's just leaning back as she goes, through the strike. But as you said, I think West Ham, they're going to start dropping more and more. Leicester may start pushing bodies forward a bit more, and it's, it could be a real transition game for West Ham now.
Ball out to Neville. This time, her ball in isn't as good as I'm sure she would have hoped. She's frustrated with that.
Yeah, just on her, supposed weaker foot. She just, I think the idea now from Leicester is just to get the ball in into the box early.
Katie Zellum, watching from the sidelines, has joined on loan from London City Lionesses. Not part of the squad this afternoon. So is sat under what looks like a rather nice jacket instead, but I'm sure will hope to be playing for West Ham as soon as possible. Here with Hansaw. So maybe just stands in the way of Asai.
Yeah, I think Zellum, she just, once she can get herself into this squad, she gives them real strength, depth, experience.
As there, O'Brien knew she was offside as she ran for that pass. Yeah, I mean, Katie Zellum, obviously very experienced player, captain at Manchester United, particularly good at scoring from a corner, directly from a corner. That seems to be a speciality of hers.
Yeah, absolutely, and just that's it, excellent on set pieces. And, you know, when West Ham are taking themselves through the season, you know, they're lingering there at the bottom. Set pieces will be absolutely vital.
Well, her last appearance for London City Lionesses this season was actually in the loss against Leicester. So she might have slightly happier memories of Leicester after this, as Rachel Williams is brought down by Nestrom. She actually quickly gets back to her feet as Leicester player cross in. It's Neville who was there to head it down. Well, she has now had 3 shots on target for Leicester City this afternoon, Ashley Neville. But that after, I was just going to say that it was Nestrom, wasn't it, who brought down Rachel Williams, and there was a kind of shout from the crowd, but Rachel Williams was quickly back to her feet. There was no even indication that she was going to suggest that that was a foul that would be asking the referee to point to the spot.
No, there was no need, and that's when you just know there's no point trying to call for it. Yes, it was in the box, but you could see that Nestrom clearly won the ball. But yeah, Neville again, you can see she's playing in this left wing-back position, and, you know, how much have we seen her in the box now when the ball is on the right-hand side or a little bit more centrally. So I think that's more just what Passmore wants from his wing-backs now. Being 1-0 down, can we get bodies in the box threatening that back post?
West Ham staying in their own half at the moment. Ale threads it forwards quickly from McLaughlin. Might come back to McLaughlin, but has Siran for company. Now the ball from Swaby. Nestrom gets ahead to it. Cascarino, and now Gorry. Ueki. Pass is intercepted by Keys. McLaughlin out to Maley, just about keeps the ball in play. Plays it through the legs of Hansaw. The cross that comes in is headed back out of the West Ham box. Now, Gorry tries to get the ball back up the pitch for West Ham. Stopped by Tierney. Blow of the whistle from the referee.
Yeah, she felt the first tug there, and then contact is down.
Well, this is what got the fans shouting at the King Power. But, I mean, as soon as Rachel Williams was knocked off balance, she was instantly back on her feet again. And there was not even a suggestion from her that she deserved a penalty for that.
No, clearly one from Nestrom. Got the toe to it. It's just the contact, the falling on the ground. But again, Williams, dust yourself off. Easy, get back up. Can you keep the flow of the play going?
Siran back to Nestrom. This is a West Ham side that has lost its 6 previous league games away from home this season. 1-0 up at the moment. So what will their attitude be? Is it about holding on to a 1-0 lead? Or do they believe they can get more goals in this game? There is a familiar face waiting to come onto the pitch for Leicester in a moment. But this is from Martinez! And West Ham have a second. Cutting in from the left-hand side. A brilliant strike to extend the Hammers' lead at the King Power. 63 on the clock. It's Leicester City 0, West Ham 2.
Wow. Again, just on the break, we've seen West Ham. They've been, you know, happy enough to stay in their own half, be defensive. Ball played out to Martinez on the left-hand side. She's a right footer. She wants to cut in there, and she puts it perfectly into the side of the net. This is, again, Leicester may feel hard done by in terms of their performance, but West Ham in front of goal at the moment have been far more clinical.
2-0 up, are West Ham heading towards a first league win away from home. And after that second goal for West Ham, a change for Leicester. And Shannon O'Brien is going to be replaced by Alicia Lehmann. Joined on Thursday, back in the English League after some time in Italy. We're hearing from Rick Passmore before the game, I think, saying she might have had a couple of training sessions with her new teammates. Of course, a former West Ham player among the clubs that she's played for in English football. But how ready will she be to come straight into a game in which she's going to have to be part of a Leicester team who are trailing 2-0 with, what, about 25 minutes left to go?
Yeah, listen, the timing of that goal from West Ham is pretty perfect. You're obviously Lehmann, she's dressed, she's ready to go. 2-0, but now it's, you know, for her, she just has to play with freedom. Can she, you know, be the hero and drag them back into this game? You know, potentially takes maybe a little bit more of that pressure off, but I'm sure there'll be frustration from the Leicester players.
Yes, it seemed the two things were happening at the same time. Alicia Lehmann was getting ready to come on. Shakira Martinez was scoring West Ham's second goal of the game.
Yeah, that's it, Leicester. You're rightly so starting to push bodies up, but you still need that stability, you know, in the back line. And, you know, for me, Martinez, she just cut inside the pitch far too easy. You know, could one of the defensive lines stepped out, put a bit more pressure on, but you can't take that finish away from Martinez.
Free kick for Leicester City. Lifted up into the air by Martinez. It'll go out for a corner that Kane will take. And before this corner is taken, we're not sure if West Ham are going to make this change or not. Is it an odd time to make a change just before a corner's taken, Louise?
Yeah, not the time. Not the time for me to make a change. You're in control. Set pieces, everyone should absolutely know their roles. I think even when you sometimes do a straight swap, it can still just, you know, imbalance the team.
There's an issue here, isn't there, with Rachel Williams? Is it something to do with, I don't know, maybe a ring or something? I'm not sure. There's a bit of strapping on a finger, isn't it?
Yeah. Listen, she has probably dislocated her finger knowing Rach Williams, and she just wants to strap it up and go again. But you could see that she was just clearly in a little bit of pain as soon as it happened. But you want her on for this set piece.
Yeah, she's off the pitch at the moment because of that treatment. It's Keys who gets her head to that corner, comes back out to Mailing. Now played back in by Kane. And then it's collected by McLaughlin. Player for West Ham who will be coming on soon, still waiting for that opportunity. And not only is Rachel Williams back on, she's back involved with the action immediately. So yeah, we saw some strapping to her finger. And yeah, just a dislocation. It's all fine.
Listen, that's
Ouch.
a guess from me, but...
Cross in. Von der Leyen gets her head to it. Ashley Neville then hooks it up into the floodlights. Lehmann was one of the players who was up there. Tierney for Leicester. Kane now. We're sort of leaning back there.
Yeah, again, just a bit of a desperation. Just keep the ball moving, play it wide. They're getting a lot of joy in the wide areas and balls into the box.
So Von der Leyen is the player who is coming off. And Ines Bellamou is the player who is coming on. Who I would suggest is maybe a player who might just be expected to sit back a bit more, Louise?
Yeah, central, you know, kind of central defender. Bring maybe a little bit more stability, you know, and really just lock up this game. She is playing, I think, on the left wing back position, but again, it's just putting strength into that back line and hoping to hold on to a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, you're 2-0 up away from home, having not picked up any points away from home all season. You start to make sure that defence is solid at this stage, don't you?
Yeah, you do whatever it takes. They're in a, you know, 2-0. It can be a, you know, a touchy scoreline, but you just do whatever it takes. And Italian coach Guarino will know, you know, all about that defensive stability.
Well, she was a striker as a player. 99 times she played for her country. Obviously, as a manager, success with Juventus in Italy, which is actually where she knows Katie Zellem from before. Had a little spell in Italy. Yeah. Here it's with Ashley Neville. If anybody's going to get a goal for Leicester this afternoon, it feels like it's going to be her. But this one isn't one to force a save from the West Ham goalkeeper. She'd been speaking about her team getting confidence from that win against Newcastle in the FA Cup. Her first victory as the head coach of West Ham, but possibly heading towards her first league victory in charge of West Ham, and only her second league game as the head coach. Still, though, 20 minutes left to play. But West Ham with only one win so far this season and 5 points, could be picking up a big 3 here at the King Power if the result stays as it is. Here with Keys, comes back to the Belgian. Swaby up to McLaughlin. Forward to Kane. Gorry in field to Sirena. Weki saying, I'm in a little bit of space. In field to Ueki from Uendo. Now launched up the pitch by Cascarino. Asai and Martinez are waiting up there, but it feels at the moment as if West Ham are just trying to prevent Leicester doing anything at the other end of the pitch. Alicia Lehmann's up there. She couldn't score on her debut, could she?
Listen, we'd love to see it a little, you know, get it back to 2-1. 10, 15 minutes to go. It's, you know, it's all to play for.
I mean, you can see just how much of the football is being played one half of the pitch at the moment in this second half. And just as I was asking Louise whether or not West Ham were going to cling on to a 1-0 lead, Shakira Martinez made it 2-0. And you feel that maybe just because of how West Ham have done so far this season, they'll be thinking 2-0, let's just hold on to this. Let's just hang on to this scoreline.
Yeah, listen, that's what you want. I think they still, as we said, the second goal came from a transition from this player, Martinez.
Looking for Asai. Turn back to Bellamu. Now with Gorry, who tries to strike. Well, stopped by Clark. But Katrina Gorry fancied adding to the goals for West Ham here at the King Power.
Yeah, listen, she found the pocket of space. It's what she is so good at, but just directly at the keeper for now. But again, West Ham, they seem to this is actually their most comfortable stage of the game so far, in my opinion. I think they're trying to play a little bit more ball, feeling confident, knowing that that another goal either way could absolutely change this game. But again, I think they've really built up in confidence now.
Here it's with Martinez, already on the score sheet today. Still with Martinez. Say just slightly slipped over inside the penalty area as it comes to Bellamu. Now with Cascarino, forward to Gorry. Goes down with Mailing.
She's taken a few knocks in the last few minutes, Gorry. You can even see a stud mark on her leg. Not sure if it was from this tackle, but again, she's brilliant at just getting herself in between the ball, the player, either coming away with the ball, winning free kicks for her team. Coming in from the back there from Mailing.
Yeah, she was surprised to see the yellow card from the referee. The fans were booing, the home support.
Yeah, I think just coming in from behind. Yes, did she get some of the ball? She did, but coming in with that speed from behind Gorry, it's the correct decision for me.
So a booking for the Leicester player, a free kick for West Ham, 15 minutes to play. Rick Passmore scribbling in his notebook. This time it won't be Hansaw to take, it'll be rolled square to Gorry. Gorry's ball headed out by Leicester. Played back in again. Now Neville to Lehmann. Tierney pings it to the run of Mailing, but Bellamu will get to it first. Fresh legs from the West Ham substitute. Another little nibble from Mailing. Have to be careful now after that booking a few minutes ago.
Yeah, she does. It's, Leicester are doing everything they can. Listen, it is a little bit soft. There's a bit of a leg out. Bellamu knows. She knows what she's doing, and she's worked a free kick for her team very, very well. But yes, Mailing, she just needs to, to be careful. Could there be a potential change? But, for me, I'm sure she can keep her head now.
West Ham's away form, they have only won one of their last 22 away league games. They have lost 18 of those. So a victory today will be extraordinary. I can tell you that win was a 7-1 win away against Crystal Palace last season, but they have lost their last 7 away from home. And Leicester, having made some changes, are going to make a few more. Mouchon is one of the players who is coming on. Say, Rick Passmore was scribbling in his notebook a few moments ago, and both head coaches now with an opportunity to speak to their players with just over 10 minutes left to play, and Rachel Williams getting a bit more patching up.
Yeah, it might be Williams for
Mouchon.
Yeah, for Mouchon. You know, as we said, she's an absolute powerhouse, Rach Williams, but again, to potentially expect 90 minutes.
Yeah, she's usually a player who comes on at this point in a game, never mind playing. So, yeah, Rachel Williams is coming off, and Mouchon, the player who replaces her, and Ale is also coming off. And Van Egmond is the player who comes on for her. Van Egmond, who scored in that home win against Liverpool back on the 14th of September, and that was after Leicester had been reduced to 10 players in that game.
Yeah, Van Egmond, she does. She drifts around the pitch, she moves, she loves to go off, you know, the back shoulders, and as you said, scored against Liverpool, and that's, you know, how she got it, making it, you know, a late run into that back line. And I think, you know, we'll be expecting her to get herself in the box in terms of to bring that height.
Former Birmingham player. Another experienced player in this Leicester side, has played in Australia, in America, in Germany.
Yeah, World Cups under her belt. She has, you know, heaps and heaps of experience.
But two players clearly brought on by Rick Passmore because they need goals in this game and they're running out of time.
Yeah, they have to go for it now. I know I am a defender, but if you're 2-0 down, I'm saying I almost don't mind if I concede a third. As long as we go, we push for it, we give ourselves the best chance. You know, especially at home, in terms of opposition where there is this, you know, bottom four teams that are scrapping for points every week.
And that is going to be the danger for Leicester, isn't it? That they could well concede another goal in trying to get themselves back into this game. Ball is with Van Egmond. Now the cross comes in. We've shown one of the players who was waiting up there, Lehmann as well for Leicester. Now forward to Ashley Neville, trying to hold off Yuendo, who got the last touch. Well, the expression of Ashley Neville will tell you that the referee has decided that's a goal kick.
Yeah, I think that's surprised me there. I don't know if I heard any more shouts, but it must have just maybe got a little nick off. Neville on the way.
Even the replay is difficult, isn't it, to be certain one way or the other from our view of that. Asai goes down, just holding on to her chest, but might well be helped back to her feet. And yeah, Swaby just, I think, gets as far away as possible from that, but didn't look like there was a huge amount in that.
No, but Asai, she knows if she has, you know, her back to goal, can she either take that touch, or is she willing to take that contact and win her team a free kick and just slow the game down again? You know, don't let Leicester gain that momentum.
Gorry was shaping to throw the ball on, but ended up going on somewhere else. As here, it's a pass forward to Asai, and I think she was just offside. Clark stretching, but the flag was raised by the referee's assistant. Into the last 8 minutes of this game, West Ham at the moment are heading towards a victory. And it hasn't been long since they've had a change of head coach, but how much of a difference can somebody make in a short period of time?
Yeah, it is. It's really difficult, as we know. God, she's had, been a top coach in Italy and has won 4 titles with Juventus. And listen, they've dominated there.
Here it's with Mouchon. Lehmann's there! Leicester City might have a way back into this game, and it's a debut goal from Alicia Lehmann that gives the home side hope. Leicester City 1, West Ham 2.
Again, here we go. 7 minutes, all to play for. Kane playing it out wide to Mouchon. Absolutely brilliant ball in. It's actually an own goal. Is that from Nestrom? But again, it's the quality, the danger of the ball. Lehmann making the run. If she also doesn't make the run, it's no threat. So again, this is, puts a big pressure on West Ham now. Dangerous scoreline 2-0, and now Leicester back into it 2-1.
Yeah, there were 2 West Ham defending players just on either side of Alicia Lehmann. The touch that takes it in off a West Ham player last. It looks just for a moment as if it was Lehmann's.
We'll talk about that cross from Mouchon. That's what you're going to be showing. This is how these...
Here's with McLaughlin and then Mouchon. Sorry, Louise, just interrupted you there because you never know what's going to happen next now. Up to Mouchon again. West Ham just trying to hold on to what is now a 1-goal lead here at the King Power.
Yeah, but just as I say, Mouchon, that is textbook. That is a perfect ball in between the keeper, the defenders. Nestrom, so unfortunate, trying to cover her front post, but again, the danger of that ball in Mouchon. She's absolutely made an impact coming off the bench.
Well, Mouchon, a player who's struggled with injuries, which has limited her time for Leicester recently. Now a corner for Leicester. Swaby let the highest to get her head onto it. And will it feel now as if West Ham are sort of clinging on to this lead? They will want to do exactly what they're doing now, which is to get it as high up the pitch as possible. Get it out of their own half if they can. Here with Mouchon again. And the referee's assistant saying a player was coming back from an offside position. Endo with a throw. Martinez. It looked like that had gone out.
Yeah, again, Martinez, she's just been such a willing runner, which was the story of the first half. Scores a brilliant goal in the second, and again, she's just working. What can she get? Can you get an end product when you have your team up in the corner? Keep the ball, get a set piece. And now she's managed to work her corner. Will they deliver? Are they going to hold on to the ball here?
Last few minutes in this game between Leicester and West Ham. Corner for the team leading 2-1. Comes back for a strike from Gorry. Well, it was one of those balls that could have ended up absolutely anywhere. Hansaw with the ball back in. Neville gets her head to it. Kane then takes it further clear. Back up the pitch from Cascarino. Getting slightly messy and scrappy, understandably, in these last few minutes. Leicester, understandably, might believe that they've got another goal in them in these last few minutes.
Yeah, I think so. That is how they should be feeling at the moment. It can be a little bit nervy for West Ham. They are keeping their composure. But again, it's just getting themselves up the pitch. Can they get, you know, again, another set piece? Can they get Mouchon? Can they get Lehmann away, you know, on a run? But again, West Ham have plenty of experience in the team, and you know, can they show it in these last couple of minutes?
Throw-in finds Asai, who will just roll the ball towards the corner flag and just hold it there for as long as she's able to. Forward from Endo. Now with Ueki. Well, this is where West Ham want the ball. This is the last place Leicester City want it in these last few minutes. How much more time will there be at the end of the 90? Is there time for a Leicester equaliser in this game? Tierney. Siren gets the yellow card.
Tierney just constantly driving her team forward. Fantastic touch over Siren.
I think she was slightly annoyed, wasn't she, that, yeah, Tierney lifted that ball over her head and she was like, do you know what? I don't care if I get a yellow card.
No. But that's it. It's a must. It's a, you know, it's a decent professional foul, as they say, as much as I hate to call it that.
So we're into 6 minutes more, a minimum of 6 minutes more. Here it's with Mailing. And who did it go out off last? It's going to be a goal kick. And more changes being made. So Shakira Martinez, the player who's coming off. The scorer of the second goal for West Ham. And we asked Louise earlier who her Barclays player of the match was, and your nomination was?
Yes. This Martinez walking off the pitch as we speak. I think she's, you know, ran her socks off for 90+ minutes. Scored an absolutely brilliant second goal, but again, she was pushing her team forward, making runs in behind. Because listen, West Ham, they didn't create a massive amount of chances, but she made sure they were up there, got some end product out of the ball, and just worked tirelessly and just scored a brilliant goal.
I think often with players who are judged on the number of goals that they score, you don't often appreciate all the other work they do as part of a team.
Yeah, you have to. I think the kind of player I was, I think that's what I recognise more, to be honest, is work rate and, you know, what you're willing to do for the team. You know, especially when you see your strikers coming back, getting behind the ball. You know, for such a vital stage of the season for West Ham to pick up points.
Yellow card for Vivian Asai. A booking for the West Ham player. A free kick for Leicester. Comes in. Keys gets her head to it. Swaby still up there. West Ham make sure that doesn't go out for a corner. Here now with Neville and Mouchon. McLaughlin. Long from Van Egmond. Lehmann's there, so is Mouchon. West Ham, though, just not giving Leicester City a way through at the moment. Really sort of clogging that area.
Yeah, exactly. And at the moment, Leicester are playing into it. You know, centrally down the pitch. Can they, again, get the ball wide? Ball's in the box, but West Ham really showing their strength here. Winning their 50-50s. And just dragging themselves up the pitch where possible.
So a word from head coach to striker. I imagine it is summed up as just take your time.
Calma, she says, calma.
So the finger and the right calf of Rachel Williams being treated with the ice. I don't know what modern players do now post-match, Louise. Is she going to be dunked into an ice bath at some stage? Sarah Mailing here is stunned by the decision to give West Ham another free kick late on in this game. As the side drops down, a wry smile from the Leicester player, who is surprised that the referee has given a late set piece to the team leading 2-1. So the free kick is rolled just a few inches to the left and to the right. Time ticking away. Less than 60 seconds before West Ham can celebrate their first Barclays Women's Super League win on the road, just their second league win of this season. Back heel from Masai. Lehmann forward, but no Leicester players for a moment inside the West Ham half. Now Mouchon. Still with Mouchon, encouraged by the home fans. Plays it back to Tierney. Now it's McLaughlin who's there, a save late on. And Leicester City with a chance to equalise with seconds left on the clock. The ball pulled back, and then it was McLaughlin whose left-footed effort was saved by the West Ham goalkeeper.
I think that's it.
And that's it. The full-time whistle has gone, and it is Leicester City players who sit down on the pitch. West Ham players who hug each other in celebration. Their goalkeeper looks as if she's picked up a bit of a knock in making that late save from a Leicester chance that would have meant that the points would have been shared. But goals, a brilliant free kick from Hansaw, and then a second goal of the game from Shakira Martinez. An own goal to give Leicester hope in the latter stages. Rita Guarino, though, wins her first league game in charge of West Ham. 8 points now for the Hammers in the league table. A hug from the head coach and the captain as it finishes at the King Power. Leicester City 1, West Ham United 2. Well, it feels as if a change of head coach has had an instant impact, Louise.
Yeah, as we said at the start, you know, she's going into her first game against Chelsea just after the break, and listen, a 5-0 defeat, it is then looking at your players in terms of, you know, mentally, how are they sticking together? Are they working hard for each other? You know, what can I see from my players now? Because she knows that they have a scrap on their hands to keep themselves up. And again, she then progressed with a 3-0 win over Newcastle, and now their first away win over, you know, another struggling team at the bottom. And again, they just took their chances where they got them, and she had them set up, you know, very, very well, you know, in terms of that transition. And then I think, you know, she used her experience, the players used theirs, you know, to make sure they got that win over the line.
Well, the players go into a huddle, but we can see just how close Leicester were to getting a late equaliser. In fact, that was another stop by Šemić, who leant back to push a late chance away and stayed down. And I'm not sure, I mean, my first view of that suggests that maybe she landed on a shoulder awkwardly, perhaps.
Yeah, you could also see, and again, she's had a couple of those where they've just been chipped and definitely landing under the bar, and she's have to shuffle her feet and make the save. And yes, potentially on her shoulder, or as she was in that position, you know, you could see her neck moved quite a bit, potentially just the landing on the ground. You know, and we absolutely hope she's okay, but she's just, you know, she saved her team there. She's got them all 3 points with that, you know, last kick of the game. But hopefully she's up and she can celebrate with her team.
So a chance now to hear from the two scorers for West Ham this afternoon. They are speaking to Alice Scarf.
Guys, West Ham's first win away this season. How are we feeling after that, Vera?
We feel incredible. It's such an important win for us. We were fighting hard for it, especially in the second half time. But yeah, I'm just super glad, and we're all really happy.
And to get those 3 points as well, they're away from home, like we say. Just how important is that for the team to build that momentum now?
Yeah, it's really important to have the 3 points, and yeah, we hope it helps us for the next games. And yeah, we're really proud and really happy for the win today.
And to get that one from a free kick as well, I mean, Verena, how are we feeling with that left foot swinging in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm speechless, but today I felt really good, and I was so positive to take the free kick, and that it turned out so well. I was surprised myself, but it feels really good.
And Shakira, obviously your goal, ultimately win them 3 points as well for you to get back on them score sheets.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm always happy to score. And today I was happy for Verena. I wasn't surprised when she said she was surprised. Yeah, so I'm really happy to help the team with my goal.
Great. Well, congratulations, guys. And Shakira, I'm glad to say, Verena, if you can do the honours for us and hand this Shakira, you are the Barclays Player of the Match.
Thank you. Nice, thank you very much. I'm really happy.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, she was happy with that. Louise Quinn's player of the match. And as I say, strikers shouldn't always be judged by their goals, but it's nice if they score as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, it could have been either of those two players, I think. And yes, they've scored the goals, and you try to look at everything else. But again, Hansaw, just really, really solid. But yeah, just in terms of that outlet just today for West Ham, you know, quality balls over the top. Martinez, a very, very willing runner today, you know, which shouldn't be, you know, scoffed at all. So for them, West Ham now, it's just, you know, 3 points, climbing themselves up the table. You know, they're in touching distance of Leicester City now.
Well, West Ham with a home game against Tottenham next in the league, that on Sunday, the 1st of February. Leicester were due to be playing Arsenal, but that match has been postponed because Arsenal are in this new FIFA Champions Cup. So their next game will be at home against Manchester United at the moment on Saturday, the 7th of February. Looks like it's slightly dried up now at the King Power. I think a lot of the second half was played in a little bit of rain here at Leicester's grounds. Now a chance to remind ourselves how this game played out. Ashley Neville testing the keeper on more than one occasion this afternoon for the home side. Then Hansaw's free kick, a brilliant one from the West Ham player, gave Rita Guarino's side the lead. A set piece that looked unstoppable. Sarah Mayling with an effort that went not too far away from forcing the West Ham keeper into a save. O'Brien finding Ashley Neville, who required a punch from Shemik in the West Ham goal to keep another shot from her out. Then West Ham getting their second. Martinez cutting in from the left-hand side to strike it in from just inside the 18-yard box. But Leicester giving a little bit of hope. Mouchon, one of the substitutes, with the cross. Alicia Lehmann causing issues at the back for West Ham. And Nestrom turning it into the back of her own net with 84 minutes on the clock. Then a chance late on for an equaliser from McLaughlin. Another save from the West Ham keeper, this in stoppage time. And then Mouchon's effort deflected by Nestrom, pushed away by the West Ham goalkeeper. It finished Leicester City 1, West Ham 2. So this is the current scene on the pitch, and she's still receiving treatment. The stretcher is on as well, which is clearly not a good sign. We saw her stretching to prevent that really late effort. The shot from Mouchon deflecting up into the air off Nestrom, and you know, a brilliant save from her, but at what expense? It did appear, as I say, as she landed, as if maybe it was her shoulder that might be the issue, but we'll obviously wait to get confirmation from West Ham about the extent of that injury. But after such a great day today for West Ham, a brilliant result, this will be a sad ending.
Yeah, very much so. And, you know, again, she's made sure her team got all 3 points there. And again, just, yeah, potentially just had to adjust, maybe didn't have the, you know, in terms, because of that deflection, she had to change her body shape and in terms of how she lands. But yeah, listen, we wish her all the best. This is the last thing you want to see, and you know, her team are celebrating, but again, things are more important, and hopefully this is just more of a precaution over anything.
Well, yes, as you say, hopefully what we're seeing there with her being stretchered off is just a precaution rather than an indication of any serious injury. We will wish her well and hope that she has not been badly injured. So these are the results of the games played, match day 13. Brighton beating Everton on Friday evening. A victory for Arsenal away against Chelsea. Also picking up a win today, the side that started today bottom of the table. 2-0 winners at home against Tottenham. And Manchester City, well, they were the league leaders. That wasn't going to change this afternoon, but in the 86th minute of their game at London City Lionesses, it was 1-1, but Bunny Shaw got the all-important goal to mean that Manchester City collected all 3 points from their trip to London. So Manchester City now 9 points clear at the top of the table, at the other end of the table. Leicester City now just 1 point above Everton and West Ham, who now have 8 points after picking up this win today. And Liverpool, though, with their victory as well today against Tottenham, are still just 1 point behind West Ham, although they are at the bottom of the Barclays Women's Super League at the moment. So that is it from the King Power Stadium. A first win away from home for West Ham of this season. They have beaten Leicester City by 2-1.